In the previous episode, Hai-jin or Jai-woo found out about her father's background. She also wanted to kill Cha-gi-ho. So in this video, we will just use the name Jai-woo so that it feels more emotional than Jai-woo. Well, moving on. However, when Jai-woo wanted to kill Cha-gi-ho, she instead gave all of her father's evidence files as proof that Jai-woo's father was not part of the organization, but he was from a drug officer who at that time was undercover to dismantle Moo-jin's organization. After Jai-woo read all of her father's files and found out who her father was, Jai-woo went to the hospital to find out what condition Cha-gi-ho was in. Pil-do also tells Jai-woo that Captain Cha has been in surgery for more than 4 hours. Then Pil-do said that after he took Cha-gi-ho home and he was on his way back, he heard a gunshot which he identified as a shot from Cha-gi-ho. Then Pil-do assumed and was sure that Moo-jin was involved in this action. But without Pil-do realizing it, Jai-woo already knows what happened to Cha-gi-ho. However, Jai-woo just chose to remain silent because Jai-woo didn't want Pil-do to be suspicious of him. Then, while chatting, Pil-do was called by a police officer who told him that there was no CCTV footage of Gi-ho's stabbing incident. And then simultaneously the nurses took Gi-ho to another room because Gi-ho's operation went smoothly and Gi-ho's life was saved. And because Gi-ho was still saved, Tae-ju called Moo-jin and told him that Gi-ho was still safe. And he also didn't forget to say that in the stabbing incident, Jai-woo was there. And because Jai-woo already knew everything, Tae-ju ordered Moo-jin to kill Jai-woo before Jai-woo acted first, because Jai-woo felt that she had been used and lied to by Moo-jin about killing her father. Then because Jai-woo already knew that Moo-jin was using her, Jai-woo decided to get out of the assets given by Moo-jin. Then when she finished packing her things and wanted to leave, Jai-woo was suddenly ambushed by Tae-ju's subordinates who came to kill Jai-woo. There was a little fight in the toilet between Jai-woo versus 3 bodyguards. Even though it was a bit difficult, Jai-woo managed to make a comeback so we can be sure that Jai-woo will be stronger. After defeating the 3 men, this time Jai-woo had to meet Tae-ju. At that time, Tae-ju also said that it was Moo-jin who killed Jai-woo's father, because Moo-jin wanted to see the expression of a traitor's death. After saying this, the two of them fought again fiercely, until finally Jai-woo managed to paralyze Tae-ju. Then when Tae-ju couldn't move, Jai-woo immediately stabbed him until Tae-ju died. On the other hand, narcotics officers already know the location where Moo-jin is self-medicating. When the drug enforcement team wanted to leave for the location they had determined, they were surprised by the arrival of Moo-jin, who came to surrender himself to the police. Jai-woo, who had finished slaughtering Tae-ju with his men, also received a message from Pil-do about Moo-jin surrendering himself to the police. Moo-jin's surrender like that certainly made Pil-do confused by Moo-jin's actions, because Pil-do saw Moo-jin's actions when Moo-jin was stabbed by Gang E 3 days ago. Due to the criminal acts committed by Moo-jin and his organization, Moo-jin is not afraid of going to prison and being punished, but Moo-jin looks relaxed when being interrogated. He opposed the pill. Not long after, Jai-woo arrived there. Then she entered the interrogation room and interrogated Moo-jin. Jai-woo tries to stay calm and not lose control to prevent her true identity from being revealed. Jai-woo interrogates Moo-jin with several intimidating questions about Moo-jin's insider who was sent to the drug department. Jai-woo questions her loyalty to Moo-jin but is betrayed and lied to by Moo-jin. Because Jai-woo's question was quite internal to Moo-jin's organizational problems, he chose to remain silent and not say anything. When Jai-woo left, Pil-do followed Jai-woo because of the question about Moo-jin's spy who was in the drug department. Jai-woo managed to lie and Pil-do believed it. Then the drug enforcement team managed to get CCTV information from a car that ran away when the police came to the scene where Cha-gi-ho was stabbed. And because every car has a number plate, the two of them immediately looked for the number plate of the car that was suspected of being the perpetrator of Gi-ho's stabbing. At the same time, Jai-woo entered the evidence room. She then took the knife that Moo-jin used when Moo-jin killed Gang E. Then because the perpetrator's car number plate was fake, his drug teammates paid attention to the police team's vehicle data. He also got a number plate that matched the data of the police and that of Hai-jin alias Jai-woo. Meanwhile, when Jai-woo managed to get Moo-jin's evidence, she came out and immediately contacted Moo-jin that the knife or evidence that might have been used to kill Gang E had been taken by Jai-woo. At the same time, the entire drug squad team is looking for Jai-woo because his car plate is the same as the CCTV information near the complex. Jai-woo went out via the emergency stairs and luckily she managed to get out of there. Meanwhile, Moo-jin himself was sent home because he found out that the knife used as evidence had been taken by Jai-woo. Long story short, while on the way, Moo-jin got a telephone call. And then the scene shifts to Tae-ju, who is seen lying stiff with a knife stuck in his chest. The knife was the knife that Moo-jin gave to Jai-woo so that it was certain that Tae-ju had died in Jai-woo's hands. And of course, Jai-woo's next target is to kill Moo-jin. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Pil-do, who is depressed because Jai-woo lied to the entire narcotics unit team, also makes observations again at the scene of Cha-gi-ho's crime. While investigating the crime scene, He got a call from his friend and his friend said that Jai-woo's real identity was all fake. Because they knew that Oh Hai-jin, whom they had known, had been using a fake identity, they went to Jai-woo's house, which no longer had any items there. However, Pil-do, who had previously come to Jai-woo's house, had seen Jai-woo's late father put in a cupboard. However, seeing that the urn of ashes was gone, Pil-do immediately went to a burial place, because Pil-do thinks Jai-woo is there. And sure enough, he met Jai-woo there and there was a chase that ended with Jai-woo being caught because she fell off her motorbike. Then Pil-do, who didn't know the real problem, immediately took Jai-woo on charges of obstructing justice and attempted murder as legal charges against Jai-woo. After they arrived at the police station, one of the drug squad wanted to beat Jai-woo because she had betrayed them all. Meanwhile, we move on to Mu-jin, who knows that Jai-woo has been arrested by the police. He also ordered his men to find a way to free Jai-woo from the capture. However, this is quite impossible to do because Jai-woo has committed a big lie within the police department. Pil-do was emotional with Jai-woo. He came to Jai-woo and told Jai-woo to tell everything honestly. However, when Jai-woo says the truth, Pil-do still won't believe what Jai-woo says, because Jai-woo has lied to them all before. When she arrived in the interrogation room, the most surprising question was who she was. Then we continue with the rest of the last episode, after Pil-do catches Jai-woo because of her actions of lying to them. Then after being caught and interrogated, Jai-woo still doesn't want to tell Pil-do her real name. Then Mu-jin, who knew that he couldn't get Jai-woo out of police custody, conveyed a message to his assistant who was going to go meet Jai-woo. The next day and at the same time, Cha-gi-ho finally managed to recover from his critical period after receiving very serious medical treatment. So you can be sure that if Gi-ho is aware, everything about Jai-woo will be revealed later. Then the next day, Mu-jin's assistant came to see Jai-woo where he delivered Mu-jin's message, the message of which stated that Mu-jin would not let Jai-woo go to prison. This was so that Jai-woo could come to Mu-jin, of course. Then he asked the police there to take Jai-woo to the hospital because the wound on Jai-woo's arm was quite serious. They tried to refuse the offer, but Mu-jin's assistant threatened that he would contact journalists that the police, especially the narcotics unit, had spies from the Dongcheon organization because they were threatened like that, they couldn't do anything, and then immediately took them. Jai-woo goes to the hospital under very tight guard. And when Jai-woo left, Mu-jin's assistant contacted Mu-jin and told Mu-jin the latest information. Then Mu-jin sent his troops to bring Jai-woo before him. Long story short, when she arrived at the hospital, Jai-woo was put in the medical room while the police were waiting in front of the door, and at the same time, the hospital received a call about Captain Cha-gi-ho who had regained consciousness. Then Pil-do immediately rushed to meet Jai-woo. Meanwhile, when Jai-woo was in the process of stitching up the wound, it turned out that the nurse's assistant was a woman whom Jai-woo had helped in the early episodes, and this woman was told to give Jai-woo the car keys so that Jai-woo could escape from the hospital. When Jai-woo's wound had been cleaned and stitched up, she rushed out of the hospital, but when she wanted to escape, the police who were outside came in and then a fight broke out between them which Jai-woo himself could win. Meanwhile, on the other hand, when Pil-do met Captain Cha-gi-ho, he said that they had detained Jai-woo because they thought that Jai-woo was the one who had stabbed their captain. Finally, Captain Cha-gi-ho told him everything about who Jai-woo was and that the one who stabbed him at that time was not Jai-woo but Tae-ju, Mu-jin's subordinate. Then Captain Cha-gi-ho revealed Jai-woo's true identity. Captain Cha-gi-ho starts the story with Jai-woo's father, Song Jeon-sung, who was a police officer who died for more than a month when he joined the drug squad. It was revealed that his death was faked by Captain Cha-gi-ho because Song Joon was given the task of disguising himself and entering Mu-jin's organization, namely Dongcheon, and changing his name to Yoon Dong-hun. And because he still wants to catch Mu-jin, Dong-hun still joins Mu-jin's organization even though he is a police officer. After finding out Jai-woo's real identity from Captain Cha-gi-ho and knowing that all this time, Jai-woo was being used by Mu-jin. But when Pil-do wanted to go back to meet Jai-woo, Pil-do was called by his colleague, and his colleague said that Jai-woo had run away. Then Pil-do immediately rushed to the parking lot. Next, he meets Jai-woo and tries to stop the car. He then called Jai-woo by Jai-woo's real name, namely Song Jai-woo. And after the Pil calling Jai-woo's real name stopped, Pil-do also restrains Jai-woo's movements and says that he knows everything about Jai-woo from Captain Cha-gi-ho, which of course even Pil-do tries to restrain Jai-woo from killing Mu-jin. Because according to him, revenge is not the best way to release Jai-woo's guilt toward her father. However, Jai-woo remains determined to take revenge on the person who killed her father at that time. And because Jai-woo was still fighting, Pil-do finally handcuffed himself to Jai-woo. At the same time, the Dongcheon troops came who wanted to take Jai-woo until finally there was a short fight which was won by the duet between Jai-woo and Pil-do. After defeating the enemy and trying to escape, a chase ensued between them and the Dongcheon troops. And again the two of them managed to escape by breaking through a traffic light which made their enemies also break through the traffic light. However, due to imprecise driving skills, their enemy ended up having a series of collisions. This caused their cars to roll over on the road. because they couldn't bring Jai-woo to Mu-jin. They contacted Mu-jin and told him the information about Jai-woo being helped by Pil-do, a detective from the drug department. Then we are taken to Jai-woo and Pil-do, who go to hide in a beach house belonging to Pil-do's friend. When they got there, Pil-do saw that Jai-woo's hands were bleeding. He immediately told Jai-woo to take off her jacket, and then the pills treat Jai-woo's wounds. While Jai-woo was undergoing treatment, Pil-do also gave himself advice that revenge would not end everything or be a way out, but would only make Jai-woo suffer because she was pressured by the desire for revenge. It turns out that Pil-do's advice can melt Jai-woo's heart and make him win Jai-woo's heart, and Jai-woo was very involved in giving her valuables to Pil-do. Then, together with Jai-woo, Pil-do tries to change Jai-woo's mind about wanting to kill Mu-jin by saying that there is no need to take revenge on Mu-jin because Jai-woo's father also went undercover and entered Mu-jin's organization just to catch Mu-jin, and hopes to be able to bring Mu-jin towards government law without having to kill Mu-jin, the head of the Dongcheon organization. And of course, with such a long period, Jai-woo's father didn't even want to kill Mu-jin just because he wanted to bring Mu-jin to justice. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Mu-jin looks very frustrated because two of his trusted people have died. Even Jai-woo's father, whom Mu-jin believes to be his confidant, lied to Mu-jin until Mu-jin finally decided to kill him because Mu-jin hated traitors. Because the situation was no longer under control and the Dongcheon organization's management was starting to collapse internally, a financial assistant told him to run away now. However, because he was confused and frustrated, Mu-jin told him to go and leave the organization. He also took a gun to shoot if the woman didn't want to leave Dongcheon's organization. Long story short, the next day when Pil-do woke up, he saw that Jai-woo was no longer by his side. He rushed out because he was afraid that Jai-woo would run away again. But it turned out that Jai-woo had woken up before him and was enjoying the beach atmosphere in the morning. Then Pil-do, who had thought that Jai-woo would run away, Jai-woo reassured Pil-do that he wasn't going anywhere and wanted to take responsibility for all his actions. Pil-do also feels calm and will help Jai-woo when he explains everything that happened to him related to Mu-jin. When they were on their way to the police station, they stopped at a traffic light, but suddenly a mysterious man approached their car. The man fired a shot from close range which directly penetrated Pil-do's head. Of course, Pil-do's death made Jai-woo very sad and very emotional because the man she had just loved was killed next to her. Jai-woo also suspects that it is Mu-jin. Because Jai-woo's revenge is now unstoppable, she rushes to Mu-jin's office. When we got there, Jai-woo forced her way in and then there was a 1vs100 fight, or we don't know how many bodyguards Mu-jin had inside. After escaping the initial stage of the fight easily, Jai-woo went up to the top floor in the elevator where Mu-jin saw Jai-woo's arrival via CCTV, and then Jai-woo destroys the CCTV. When he arrived at the top floor, Jai-woo again had to face Mu-jin's men, whom she defeated easily, of course. However, it is different from this man, where Jai-woo is difficult for her to fight. But in the end, Jai-woo was overcome with a gun bullet which managed to kill the man. After successfully defeating all of Mu-jin's guards, Jai-woo finally entered Mu-jin's room. Jai-woo, who already has a huge grudge against Mu-jin, questions why he killed someone precious to her again. However, Mu-jin remained relaxed and already knew that this day would happen. Because he wants to play fair, Jai-woo only uses a knife to fight Mu-jin. And the fight began. Even though he was cornered at the start, because of Jai-woo's hatred and revenge for Mu-jin, Jai-woo still put up a defensive fight which was quite fruitful. Mu-jin also managed to be hit by Jai-woo's knife cuts on several parts of Mu-jin's body. But it wasn't just Mu-jin who got a knife cut, Jai-woo also got a knife cut. Jai-woo is even worse than Mu-jin. Finally, when Jai-woo was slumped, she found the right opening to return Mu-jin's stab which hit Mu-jin's vital point. Because he felt like he was almost defeated, he took and used Jai-woo's gun. He also wanted to use the gun to kill Jai-woo, but because the gun didn't have bullets at the same time, Jai-woo stabbed Mu-jin in the neck until he died and it was game over. After killing Mu-jin and his members, Jai-woo came out staggering. This film closes with Jai-woo arriving at her father's grave and placing a photo of police clothes with her father.